So the leftists and the left-wing media are going after Nick Shirley, and they are spending more time trying to discredit him than they are investigating the fraud. It blows my mind. These people are something else. So let's get into it.
I need to make something just painfully clear. Calling out Nick Shirley's lies about rampant Somali Minnesota fraud has absolutely nothing to do with defending fraud, you mouth-breathing, cousin grinder crashing troglodytes. And you raving about a dude who's not a journalist but plays one on YouTube has absolutely nothing to do with your feigned care for accountability about fraud. And we can prove both of those statements are true, right? We can prove that Nick Shirley is a liar. Things like how he and his Turning Point USA handlers submitted business edits to Google for daycares to try to get their phone number changed to Tim Walz's office, so then he could make a video calling that number pretending that it went to Tim Walz's office, even though the number for that daycare is listed in multiple places on the internet and is clearly not Tim Walz's office.
What is he talking about? I couldn't find any videos on that or any proof of it. And I asked Rock, he says, no, there is no evidence or proof that Turning Point USA submitted business edits to Google for Minnesota daycares in an attempt to change their phone numbers to Governor Tim Walz's office. Says, however, Google business listings are publicly editable. Anyone with a Google account in good standing can suggest changes, which may pass automated review. Skeptics and some posts suggest this was likely rage bait or a malicious prank by unknown individuals, as the official Minnesota Department of Human Services listing for the center shows a different phone number. No sources link TPUSA or any specific group individual to submitting these edits. Searches across web results, X posts, and related videos yield no mentions of TPUSA involvement, only unverified social media claims about the phone connection itself, which some outlets, Hindustan Times, note remain unconfirmed and could not be independently verified. Yeah, I don't know where he's getting that from. He doesn't provide any proof of that or anything.
The piece of paper he was waving around saying it proved all of this that they never actually cited a source for. But hey, it's 2025. It's really hard to put numbers on a piece of paper, so I'm sure it's authentic.
Well, if he doesn't believe the numbers, then he can look at the numbers himself, because David put it out for the public to see right here.
Anyway. No, don't call any parents. Anybody want to take me up? You $100,000 if you can.
$100,000.
You can disprove my information.
Okay, so give me a copy of what you have, and I can
If you can disprove my information.
100,000.
Give it here.
100,000. 100,000. 100,000.
Page by
Are
page.
you going page by page? They're going. Come on, girl. Just
Yeah, letting them zoom in so they can see all the numbers and everything. They're not lying about this. These are the real numbers, and if anybody can prove it wrong, they'll get $100,000.
Keep your video on it. Okay?
and just screenshot it while you're going.
Let me know when you got it.
They got it. Oh, he's going
Okay.
page by page. Just the energy we need in the Twin
If
Cities.
anything on any of these pages is inaccurate, I'll give you $100,000 if you can disprove it.
I'm trying to
Okay.
Yeah, so if this guy doesn't believe it, then he's more than welcome to fact check the numbers himself, and then he can make a video and prove everybody wrong. But until then, this guy has no receipts, and David does.
Also know that you don't care about fraud, because if you did, you would care that the diddling dictator archived and stopped updating the COVID fraud map earlier this year. This map shows the 26 biggest cases of COVID fraud. It's funny how Nick Shirley isn't in Texas and Florida trying to knock down daycare doors and film children there.
That map was going to stop being updated whether or not Trump got into office or not. Says, yes, the COVID fraud map, part of the Pandemic Response Accountability Committee's PRAC interactive tools and dashboards tracking pandemic-related fraud cases, was originally scheduled to stop being updated after September 30th, 2025, based on the statutory sunset date in the 2020 CARES Act that created the PRAC regardless of the 2024 election outcome or who became president in January 2025. This default expiration would have applied under a continued Democratic administration, ergo if Kamala Harris had won, unless Congress passed new legislation to extend it, as there were no extensions enacted prior to the election or during the lame duck period in late 2024.
If you cared about fraud, you would care that Rick Scott, the senator from Florida, oversaw the biggest Medicare
You can see right there, it says in 1997, but I'll pull it up anyway.
fraud scandal in U.S. history. And if he gave
Yeah, it says the Columbia HCA healthcare fraud schemes primarily took place during the 1990s, with some practices dating back to the late 1980s. Rick Scott served as founder, chairman, and CEO of Columbia Hospital Corporation, which became Columbia HCA after mergers from 1987 until his forced resignation in July 1997. The fraudulent activities, including inflating bills and diagnosis for higher Medicare reimbursement, submitting false cost reports, paying illegal kickbacks and physicians for patient referrals, and other billing improprieties, occurred under his leadership during the company's aggressive expansion period. The late 1980s, mid-1990s, 1993, 1997 through 2003. And then it says in June 2023, final major civil settlement added $631 million plus a $250 million administrative agreement with CMS for cost reports up to 2001, bringing the total government recovery to $1.7 billion. So yeah, I don't even know how old Nick Shirley is, but he might not have even been alive at this time.
And if you gave a shit about fraud, you'd really be up in arms about the fact that Bankruptcy Benito, who is himself a well-known fraudster, has given clemency to dozens of people convicted of fraud. So we know that you know that we know that you don't actually give a shit about fraud. You only care about sensationalized stories that justify your racism and political bias. We know that you know that we're not defending fraud. We think that all fraud is wrong and should be held accountable. And you don't do that.
Then you shouldn't have a problem with somebody going in and just making sure that everything's fine. He went to should be a public place because it's paid for by the American tax dollars, and asked some questions. What is so wrong with that? Why are these people so afraid and against the truth?
That by making up wild lies and accusations. So can we just stop pretending that any of this is about fraud? This is a coordinated attempt to undermine Minnesota's leadership, in part because our governor and one of our congresswomen, who happens to be Somali, hurts the tangerine temper tantrum toddler's fragile little feelings on a regular basis.
She hates America. You guys know I have posted videos before of this woman. She doesn't like our country.
In part because they want to turn Minnesota red, and in part because it helps them justify their Gestapo police state. I am fine with political mudslinging, but demonizing people because of their ethnicity, making up wild lies and accusations about daycares and healthcare providers, not only is it just wrong because it is wildly racist, it's wrong because you're putting real people's lives, real children's lives, in real danger. ICE has been terrorizing Minnesota neighborhoods for months now. DHS is doing door-to-door investigative visits for fraud. That's not even their jurisdiction.
Yeah, it is. Yes, ICE, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, is allowed and actively does investigate fraud involving immigrants, particularly when the fraud has an immigration nexus, ergo related to immigration benefits, identity documents, visas, or asylum, or involves transnational cross-border elements. And we all know it's been proven that they have been sending money back to their home country.
They're doing it because they are terrorists, but that's not even the worst of it. Remember when a guy with a gun showed up to a pizzeria to save the children because of wild fringe QAnon conspiracy theories? That had way less reach than this. So when, not if, but when somebody attacks just an innocent Somali family or a healthcare provider or a fucking daycare, their blood, very possibly children's blood, will be on the hands of every single one of you sick, degenerate motherfuckers who have entertained or perpetuated these lies. And we will not let you forget it.
To be honest, it's really disheartening to see a lot of people of color on my timeline, and Hispanics, Black people, being openly racist towards Somali people. Because, first of all, let's break down this Nick's guy video, okay? He goes to a Somali daycare. Mind you, he goes an hour before they open.
Nick Shirley was on the PBD podcast this morning, and he said that he went to the location 2 different days, 2 separate times. And also, a lot of these leftists are saying that the kids weren't at the centers because of Christmas break, but the video was filmed 2 weeks ago. It says the Nick Shirley video alleging fraud in Minnesota, often referred to as the Minnesota fraud or daycare fraud video, focusing on claims involving Somali-run child care centers receiving public funds while appearing empty, was filmed shortly before mid-December 2025, likely around December 16th through the 17th, 2025. It says multiple sources, including local reporting from Fox 9 Minneapolis, St. Paul, and CBS Minnesota, indicate the footage was captured on or around Wednesday, December 17th, 2025, or very close to it, such as December 16th. This timing aligns with Shirley attending a Minnesota House fraud prevention hearing on December 17th. Security footage from at least one daycare. I mean, he was there, and it wasn't around Christmas time, so.
It opens at 2, he goes at 1. He doesn't show the paper on the door. He blurs it out because it says the hours of the daycare. And he got there before it even opened.
He did not blur it out.
To make it look like it was closed and nobody was there. So, second point. A lot of these daycares have already been investigated and shut down, the ones that were committing fraud. That was years ago. And they're trying to connect all of this to the Feeding Our Family or Feeding Our Future program.
What is the problem with going and making sure that they are not doing it too? What is wrong with that? They've already been caught once. Why is it so bad to go and make sure that they're not doing it again?
Fraud scheme that was actually led by a white person. Yeah.
It was one white woman. One.
And it's just really weird how people will be so fast to just believe something on the internet just because it looks like something, or they seem like they want to hate on something so bad, so they put their anger towards the Somali community because they are either racist, they don't like them, or they just want to be hateful and spiteful against another group of people, which is disgusting and disappointing. And if you are out here openly posting and spreading misinformation, please delete me, please block me, please remove me, because that's not okay. And I don't want to see that shit on my timeline. And I don't want to be friends with you or following you if you're going to be spreading misinformation and lies on my timeline. So I'm so sorry. The Somalis are not stealing your fucking money. They're not snatching your rights away from you and taking all the government funded money so you can't have any. No, maybe you just need to work harder and make more money so you can be happier and not a miserable racist piece of shit.
Yeah, we're the ones that need to work harder, not the ones that are, the majority of them are on welfare and living off of the American tax dollar and have been caught stealing billions of dollars from Americans. Yeah, we're the ones that need to work harder.
Like, it's kind of simple.
So let me get this straight. Some MAGA twerp walks up to Somali businesses in Minnesota with Meta glasses on, a camera crew, and a bunch of security goons standing around him asking to see the kids. And when no business wants to let all these creepy white guys come in and look at the kids, suddenly that's proof that there's massive fraud in Minnesota.
This guy did not watch the video.
Got it. And by the way, I understand there's actually fraud happening in Minnesota, just like there's healthcare fraud in all 50 states in this country. But to try and blame this as a Somali issue is completely ignorant.
You've probably seen the video of far-right journalist Nick Shirley claiming that he uncovered billions of dollars in Somalian fraud in Minnesota. I'm going to show you why it's a bunch of BS.
This is the strangest place I've ever been to get healthcare. Healthcare here, healthcare right here. Another healthcare company right here. There are 3 healthcare companies inside of this building right here in this room of 7 seats.
Let's just pause here as he points to some of the healthcare companies. He's right, the building that he's in is filled with a bunch of healthcare companies, mostly run by Somalians. But what he doesn't tell you is these are home healthcare companies. Therefore, you wouldn't actually get healthcare at any of these because these are just office buildings where they can set up and manage the funding of healthcare to somebody's home. You can Google all these companies yourself.
You need all of those companies to get medical care at home.
But patients are never actually expected to show up there. Therefore, when Shirley walks in and asks for healthcare, they look at him like he's a nutcase because he really is.
We're looking for the best rates of healthcare here inside this building because we have so many options. Who can we talk about getting the best healthcare?
I don't know.
No?
Sorry.
Let's take a look at the daycare facilities he showed up at.
Shouldn't that lady be able to tell him something? Shouldn't she be able to say, this is what we offer, this is how we get you set up at home? Why is she even sitting there? Why is she even there if she cannot answer any questions?
I'd like to check a child in the daycare. Can I speak to a manager? Where can I get paperwork to file for my son? I want to put my son Joey in daycare.
Once again, the daycares are almost certainly at-home daycare services. These are like management companies. They send people out to someone's home and provide education for families.
The health care is for home. The child care is for home. I don't understand how this guy can say all of this with a straight face and not think that something is weird about it. You're telling me that all this entire building is to set up home health care and daycare and education for home. But there's no one you can talk to there. There's no one will answer any of your questions. No one will tell you how to get the stuff set up at home. And why are our tax dollars going to set up at-home daycares for people to sit at home and watch their own kids. Where are these daycares at? They should be public knowledge because it's paid for by the American tax dollar.
So one company could be tied to literally dozens of homes or dozens of children, and there won't be a single kid that walks through that door. What Nick Shirley does is called lying by omission. Please share.
That guy, Nick Shirley, trying to investigate all these daycares to find out if they're actually daycares and funneling millions of dollars. See, the issue is he's already made up his mind, and instead of doing journalism to find out the truth, he already has the truth made up in his mind, and he's trying to just expose all the fraud versus trying to find out, hey, is there fraud going on?
Exposing it would be showing that there is fraud going on.
And ask the actual questions, which that's the issue, because it's not journalism. It's kind of like a gotcha journalism kind of thing. And it's biased reporting. That's the issue with it. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't fraudulent things going on, because it definitely seems weird. But the way that he's going about it is incorrect.
What way did he go about it? This guy needs to give some examples, because I'm not seeing it. I don't see that he did anything wrong with anything that he did. He didn't say anything mean to these people. He didn't say anything racist to these people. He simply went in and asked questions. What is wrong with that?
He should be going about it as an actual journalist, trying to find out the truth rather than just making up his mind. And you can see that in all of the videos that he's shown with that guy too, where they're just going and saying, they're funneling millions of dollars and they're doing this and they're doing that. And it's like, well, okay, let's find out if they are. Find out the truth. Instead of this gotcha journalism shit that you see. Because that's not journalism. That's biased reporting to just show you one narrative versus the actual truth. So if there is fraud going on, punish all the people who are committing fraud, 100%. But find out first, because right now, what if they aren't? What if some of them aren't committing fraud and you're just ruining lives? And we're talking about kids here too. We're talking about kids in daycare.
Because like this guy's...
If they didn't commit any fraud, then that's great. Everyone will be fine with that. But there is still no reason why we are not allowed to go in and ask questions. You can go in any public business that is paid for by the tax dollar and ask questions. There's nothing wrong with that.
Video was bullshit. His investigation was bad. His methodology was bad. He didn't...
The person who really blew this story up on social media and YouTube, Nick Shirley.
Yeah, this is not true as well. There were already prosecutions, huge ones, done under Merrick Garland relating to all of this. This guy didn't investigate or find anything. And this is one of my reasons why freedom of speech is not like everybody being able to say whatever they want all the time. You know, like just give sunlight to bad ideas and that's the best thing for it. It's like, well, sometimes you just waste people's time. It's not like a good environment where everybody says we're shit and you spend all this time debunking it and you don't even get to talk about the actual issue. That's like an anti-free speech environment because you're not even getting to have the good speech. It's not even there.
Typical leftist trying to take away others' free speech because they are hearing something that they don't like and they don't agree with.
People like this, like, it's good that somebody in chat linked me that New York Times article so I could read more about the actual prosecution that was going on, because like this guy's video was bullshit. Like if I would come away from this probably thinking, I guess there is no fraud going on in Minnesota, or it's just fake being alleged by conservatives, because he didn't uncover anything. His investigation was bad. His methodology was bad. He didn't follow up on anything. He didn't research any of the places he was going to. He didn't look up any of the prior violations. He didn't think to contact anybody that actually worked in the DHS in Minnesota. It was just slop.
Somalis might be some of the worst migrants that you can import into our beautiful country, America, and I'm going to show you exactly why. I expose things that the media won't, so make sure you follow me. First of all, who decided that this is a good idea? And it's not just Obama. It actually started with Bush.
If you want to go check out his channel, I'll put it underneath this video in the video description.
Who imported way more Somali migrants than Obama did. Between 2001 and 2016, both Bush and Obama admitted almost 100,000 Somali refugees into the United States. 99.6% of all these Somalian refugees are Muslims. 30% of them were males between the age of 14 and 50. So how much does all of this cost America? Well, let me show you. The total revenue for the state of Minnesota the Somalians produce on an annual basis is anywhere between $1 to $1.4 billion. That means that the total amount of money that a Somalian contributes to the United States is anywhere between $2,700 and $4,100. The average American contributes about $18,000. This isn't even a quarter of what the average American produces to the American government. So let's say they bring in about $3,200 a year to the American government. Well, how much do they take away? And this doesn't include the fraud that we just found through Nick Shirley. 81% of Somali households depend on some form of federal and state assistance like SNAP or Medicaid. If the household has kids, it rises up to 89% of households. About 60% rely on food stamps and about 80% rely on Medicaid, which means that the total amount that the federal government and the state government spends on each Somali migrant is anywhere between $12,000 to $20,000 annually. That includes direct benefits and public services. That means that on average, every Somali migrant costs the American government about $15,000 annually. On top of that, the majority of them commit massive fraud, stealing even more money from the American government.
If y'all look at the comments for the people that's talking about the Medicare fraud that is happening amongst the Somalians are in a comment like, you guys are jealous, you guys are just mad, you guys are poor, you guys are just jealous of us. Let me let you...
They are like that. They think that all of us Americans are just jealous.
Americans are paying $250, $300 for fucking childcare for their children to go to daycare.
Yeah.
We're giving away millions and millions and millions and millions of daycare funding to daycares that don't exist. Like,
yeah, at home daycares.
Like, that's kind of fucked up. People who are paying the taxes can't even catch a break for daycare costs. And we're giving away millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars
to
daycares that don't really even exist, for children that don't even go to daycare. They're in the public school system. Okay. There's this pushback that's happening in Minnesota amongst the politicians because the politicians are the ones that's signing off on these grants. And y'all want to understand this. The one way to become a millionaire for sure in this country is to own a nonprofit organization. But let's rewind really quickly. These people who write the grant proposals, they are educated liberals and Democrats. I promise you that they are. And they approach specific people in the community and say, I can write you a grant. Make sure that this grant says everything that it needs to say for it to get approved for a lot of money. And all you have to do is give me 10% of it. We don't care what you do. And we're going to make sure you have this license and this number filed. And we're going to make sure you can get this funding. But make sure that you give me 10% of it. That's why these politicians are pushing back. And these Somalians are like, oh, you guys are just jealous and mad. Yeah, people are going to work and doing everything the right way. And we're fucking struggling. But people can come into this country and just live luxurious and still benefit from government funding while defrauding the system. That's kind of fucked up.
It is messed up. And the politicians are definitely doing some shady stuff. Look at this.
Somalia Hanulato! Somalia Hanulato! Somalia Hanulato! Somalia Igea!
Maaga Egawa Jacob Fry. Doke Magalada, Minneapolis. Damaan, Shaabka Somaliyed, Kayimid, Mogadishu, Garowe, Hargeisa, Bosaso, Bedabo, Kismayo, Wahanra.
Not even speaking English, not even talking to the American people. I feel like if you are a public official and you are addressing the public, then you should be speaking in English, our language, our country's language.
Strong getting wrong, a violent prone, for people's own, but it's my own.
Absolute disgrace. And they changed the flag to look like the Somali flag. The leftists deny it, but it is true. I mean, look at it. This is the old flag. This is the old Minnesota flag. They said that it was insensitive and racist because it has Indian and a white man farming. So they changed it to this. And this is the Somali flag. The flag of Somalia.
All right, ready. Whoa, wait a minute. There, that's better.
And look at what the flag used to look like. It had so much detail, and they changed that to this, to that plain, boring, ugly flag. But at least something is getting done. Something is getting done about it now.
Hello, I'm HHS Deputy Secretary Jim O'Neill. I'm here with Assistant Secretary Alex Adams. Alex oversees the Administration for Children and Families. Intrepid journalists have made shocking and credible allegations of extensive fraud in Minnesota's child care programs. We believe the state of Minnesota has allowed scammers and fake daycares to siphon millions of taxpayer dollars over the past decade.
My office, ACF, provides Minnesota $185 million in child care funds each year. That money should be helping 19,000 American children, including toddlers and infants. Any dollar stolen by fraudsters is stolen from those children. Yesterday, I spoke directly with the director of the Minnesota Child Care Services Office. She could not tell me with confidence whether those allegations of fraud are isolated or whether there's fraud stretching statewide.
Today, we have taken 3 direct actions against the blatant fraud that seems to be rampant in Minnesota. First, I have activated our Defend the Spend system for all ACF child care payments across America. Starting today, we require a justification, receipt, or photo evidence before we make a payment. Second, I have just signed and sent a demand letter to Governor Walz. I required a full 360 review of these centers. This includes attendance records, licenses, complaints, investigations, and inspections.
And third, we've launched a dedicated fraud reporting hotline and email address at childcare.gov. Whether you're a parent, a provider, a member of the public, we want to hear from you. Let me be crystal clear. ACF expects every state to uphold the highest standards of oversight, monitoring, and accountability for federal dollars. Minnesota is no exception.
We're committed to holding bad actors accountable. Regardless of rank or office, anyone who's involved in perpetrating this fraud against the American people should expect to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
So yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. You can also find me on Rumble, Twitch, and X, and those links will be down underneath this video in the video description. I really appreciate you watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.